I'll call the meeting to order, and Khadija, if you will do the roll call.
Yes, ma'am. Give me one moment. All right. Michelle Durner,
Here.
Barbara Marchioni,
Here.
Diane Holt,
Here.
Dixie Newsome.
Here.
All right. And board members we currently do not have attending are Scott Iden, Nicholas Potter, and Paula Rigsby. We also have non-board members attending: Steve Pond, Donna Rasco, and Khadija Cooper.
Next on the agenda is to approve the agenda, which only has one item today, which is the remote instruction plan. So Khadija, if you'll do the roll call on the approval.
Michelle, may I interrupt you for a second?
Sure.
I would recommend that you add an item to your agenda. A little bit out of order, but you'll understand why in a moment. There is the new law, Senate Bill 654, that requires you to vote on whether to modify your face covering policy once a month, at least once a month. You guys voted previously to adopt NHA's recommendation to have mask mandatory. You have not yet had the opportunity to vote on whether you want to modify that in the month of September. And the law passed August 30th. I have a concern about you waiting until next week. It seems like a little technicality. It's not very many days, but technically it would be a violation of that statute that you've not voted. I assume that won't be a significant undertaking. It shouldn't take very long, but I would recommend. Now, I will acknowledge to you that there's a little bit of a problem in that this was not on the notice of your meeting. But I would recommend to you that it is worth it to go ahead and take that vote, have that vote appear in your minutes for the month of September, and then you can readdress it in your meeting in October, and among other things, perhaps ratify this decision. But I worry about leaving a complete gap where you did not at all vote on the face covering policy in the month of September by adding it to your agenda today.
Okay. I was kind of wondering why that wasn't on the agenda at the last meeting, but then I thought somebody mentioned about it because it was being mandated in Apex that you have face coverings indoors, that we didn't have to do it.
The statute just says all public school units must vote on whether to modify their policy at least once a month. So my advice is just put it in a meeting at least once a month and vote. And the issue is, do you want to modify it? That's the only issue.
All right, so we will add that to the agenda, and then assuming approval from everyone, we can move forward.
Thank you.
This is Dixie. I move that we accept the agenda with the addition as noted.
Is there a second?
Diane, I second it.
Okay. Roll call, please.
All right. Michelle,
Approved.
Barbara,
Approved.
Diane,
Approved.
Dixie.
Approved.
All right. And just to confirm, Dixie made the motion and Diane second, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right. I assume Steve is presenting the remote instruction plan.
Yes.
My pleasure.
Ready?
Well, thank you all so much. The remote instruction plan was prepared by me in partnership with NHA as part of the requirement that we do this before October 1st. It does mirror largely what we did last year. It is a remote instruction plan, not a virtual live plan, which NHA is opting to not do at this time. Remote instruction plans are completed. They are attached to the docket and the document. And overall, we will use Meet should we have to be remote. We'll continue to mirror what we did last year and have all students engage with their teachers through Google Meet. That will be for kindergarten through 8th grade at peak. We've also noted that we will use Google Classroom again as our management system for or the avenue through which we will provide the remote instruction. and also listed a series of tools that we have and will continue to use this year to help facilitate remote learning through the use of technology. We have already trained all administrators, instructional support staff, and teachers at school. We've done that through staff meetings at the beginning of the year, as well as recently. And we will communicate any upcoming remote instruction plans to our families by email and also through phone calls and messages to links. They're quite familiar with it as we have done remote learning during the pandemic previously. There will be information added to our school website as well. And then any folks who were not here this year, we will engage them in new training and we'll retrain current teachers. And we do have staff meeting days set aside for that throughout the month. In the event that we do need to implement our remote learning plan, we can go ahead and put that right into play. There are also online tutorials that were created last year, both by staff here and at NHA to show parents, train them how to get logged on and for their children to get logged on. Children are really the key to this already because they're logging on throughout their academic experience this year in person as they were in the past. So they're quite familiar, even as low as kindergarten, with how to get on and get into their Google Classroom. But we do have the training videos prepared already, and we'll have the opportunity to engage our students and families in tutorials as needed should we have to move to a remote setting. And that's the overview. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Does it differ in any way from what you were doing last year?
It will not be the live virtual all day, the way this plan is set up. There will be Google Classroom engagement, activity engagement. There may be times that teachers are live with their students, but the biggest difference is we do not plan to have some students at home and some students in the building learning simultaneously, while the teacher's only portal to the students is the camera that we're all looking at right now. It was such an overwhelming task for teachers to manage both a classroom in the building physically and a classroom at home, that we are in support of this remote learning plan because all students can learn through the same method and model.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you. And we would ask for your vote in support of the plan, which meets all state guidelines, NHA guidelines as well, and is mirrored and reflective of what we have done already in our school.
Are there any questions for Steve? All right. I guess you gave so much good information. We didn't need any more discussion around it.
Always try to be complete for you all at our meetings. So,
Much appreciated, for sure.
thank you.
Well, if there's no further discussion, I think we can move to the action items and to first do the approval of the remote instruction plan if there is a motion to do so.
Michelle, before we move forward, could we discuss the face coverings policy that
Oh, I'm
Donna
sorry.
had? That's okay.
Yeah.
What I'm gonna have to do, since this is included in your October board packet, is show you the face covering policy that has been created. But it's for another school, but it's Donna's school. So Donna, is that okay? To pull up just for efforts of conversation?
Well, let me describe briefly, if I may. So the statute provides that you have a policy and vote once a month. Now, I would say to you, again, forgive me, but it gets a little bit technical. You essentially have a policy because you've previously voted to affirm what NHA said it wanted to do, which was require masks. You just don't have a written out policy. So yes, I did prepare a document that I've recommended to all the schools that is a written policy. I don't think you necessarily need to kind of go through that policy day, but you can if you want to. And if Khaditra has it, that will be fine. Alternatively, you could, in order to try to check the box for the statute, simply vote on whether you want to modify the thing you already voted on. Does that make sense? I think you could do it either way. And you could save the written policy if you wanted to for your October meeting low next week.
Yeah, I was kind of just thinking we were just because of the short time frame and that there's another meeting on Tuesday, just kind of reaffirming that we would keep face coverings for
Okay.
at least 6 more days.
And I think I would advise you that's one way to do it.
Okay.
Mhm.
Any discussion around that?
So
I'm
do we have
certainly in
to,
favor of that.
yeah, do we have to vote on that then?
That's the thing with the statute. The statute specifically says must vote at least once a month. So yes,
Okay,
You need to
we're
vote.
voting on keeping the mask until the end of the month.
Right. That would be
well,
our
I would
step.
say you're just voting to keep the mask
Mhm.
now,
Until,
and then you'll be voting again in October.
Yes.
Any more questions? All right. So are we going to vote on the remote instruction plan first?
Yes.
So add it as item B for the face coverings.
Mhm.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the remote instruction plan?
So moved.
Is there a
I
second?
second. This is Dixie. I second.
Okay, thank you.
Michelle,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
and Dixie.
Yes.
All right, motion passes.
Okay, so item B would be approval to continue the current policy of the face mask coverings if there is a motion.
I so move. Diane?
I second.
Second, Barbara.
Thank you.
Double second.
Michelle,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Dixie.
Yes.
All right.
All right. And is there any public comment today?
There's no public on the line.
Okay. If so, if I could get a motion to adjourn today's meeting?
This is Dixie. I move to adjourn today's meeting.
Diane, I second it.
All right, Michelle,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Dixie.
Yes.
All right. See you all on October 5th at noon.
Thank you. Great
Thank you,
job,
everybody.
Michelle.
Right.
Yes.
Michelle.
Thank you,
See you all
Barbara.
next week.
I'll nominate you next time. Look, like Donna messed me
Negative.
up. She threw something else in there, so.
You handled it beautifully.
Yes.
You did.
Thank
Thank
You
you.
sure did.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye, everyone.
All right, and thank you, everybody. Have a good day.